G'day, it's Chris again. Thank you for watching, wherever you may be. In the next 35 minutes, I will talk a lot about 3 big outcomes, how to increase some balance in your life in a holistic sort of approach. We'll talk about that in a minute, increasing purpose, so getting some clarity and what that means, and increasing cash flow. We'll talk about these 3 big outcomes that ultimately aim to give you trajectory towards your 10 out of 10 lifestyle, which I'll also talk about in a second. But I will do this through some stories and through some models at the end, and then leaving my contact details. So hopefully, if you want to know some more information, it's so simple these days with Zoom and all these models of or ways of communication that you can reach out and have a coffee. So back to the 10 out of 10 lifestyle. The ultimate dream for most people is to just live an awesome life. Ultimate dream, or maybe it's just a dream, not even ultimate, but just to have an awesome life. And I pin that as a 10 out of 10 lifestyle. You can call it what you want, call it your dream, call it your gold lotto life, or whatever. So when I refer to 10 out of 10 lifestyle, this is essentially what I'm referring to. And I'm going to read here out of a book, and I'll give a bit of a plug, but a book that I wrote called The Unfair Advantage, and it's how a mentor can change your life. And you'll see there it's got the wheel of life analogy or model on top. And in fact, I'll just change screens here for 1 second, because there is the front page of that front cover, the wheel of life, and they're the spokes in the wheel of life. And I pun it as if a spoke is broke, your life will choke. And that holistic approach to life. And if the center of that is your 10 out of 10 lifestyle, when you get some balance here and the wheels are rolling well, then you know what is a 10 out of 10 lifestyle. So in my book, I wrote about it, page 3. A 10 out of 10 lifestyle is different for everybody. It's not the same. Some people, it might be just an awesome life. A 10 out of 10 life might just be paying the bills when they're due. For other people who are comfortable, they might be having more holidays than the 3 or 4 weeks that you're having a year now. And you know, it's different levels for different people. But it is developed over time through learning, life experience, and can be enhanced by the use of a mentor. The elements of a 10 out of 10 lifestyle are made up of many factors, including but not limited to financial freedom, abundant time to spend with family, ability to have unrestricted and an adventurous lifestyle, which is not bound by time, by a boss, by a business if you're in business holding you back. You're not bound by your health, so you've got great health to be active without limitations or pain. You've got time to spend at a charity or community group of choice if that's what you like. You've got awareness of your greater cause, quiet time, prayer time, meditation, what do you want to call that? So living a 10 out of 10 lifestyle is about being the best version of yourself, making a difference to others' lives, and having an impact on your surroundings for a greater good. Having a mentor in your life can greatly improve your ability to achieve this. So this is where the mentor comes in, and again, this little webinar is certainly about how getting those 3 outcomes towards an awesome lifestyle and how a mentor can help you achieve those. Now, before I start, I want to tell you a story, and a very quick story of myself and how this relates to what I'm talking about today. In fact, 2 stories. And the first one is this. In 2011, I was involved in the Toowoomba floods. For those who don't know it, Toowoomba, if you're not even in Australia, is in southeast Queensland, west of Brisbane, 2 hours. It sits on top of a hill. It's like a bowl, and effectively there's about 120,000 people live there, and there's a creek that runs through the middle of it and out the sort of north western side of the town. But on this particular day, or lead up to this day, in fact the months leading up, there's massive amounts of rain, typical tropical Queensland wet season. But on this particular day, it was bucketing down. I was at work. I remember looking at my computer and looking at the BOM Bureau of Meteorology, looking, wow, look at that formation right over the top of town. Looked outside, absolutely torrential Queensland tropical weather. Now, I jumped in my ute, 4-wheel drive. I was driving down the street, ended up driving along the edge of a creek that was running the opposite direction to me. And the creek was flowing over, and it was flowing over onto the road. It was a dual lane road. I was driving this way, creek flowing that way. And so I pulled over to the right hand lane, and because there's already a fair bit of water on the left hand side, and the traffic slowed down. because there was a set of lights up ahead that went red. Now, stopped, and in that, just whatever it is that lights go red for, 60 odd seconds, the water was rising rapidly. Now, when I say rapidly, it was coming down. You could see it almost coming down the road, over the road, along the road, and then all of a sudden I'm in water as well. And there was a couple of cars stopped, and I did not want to go straight ahead because that's where the massive amount of water was coming from. So I backed up out of the way, opposite side of the road, and now I'm looking down at the road, observing what's going on, and I could see cars up to my right, up to the lights, and everyone was turning around, and everyone disappeared bar 2 cars. The 2 cars in question, there was one right in front of me, and then one right up to the lights, which I'll tell you about later. But the one right in front of me, I sort of looked down, they weren't moving, and so I decided, this is a bit strange. I'll get out and I'll go and have a look. So Good Samaritan sort of kicked in, boots and socks off, walked down to the car, knocked on the window. Remember, it's pouring rain now, so I'm drenched within the first couple of 10 seconds here. Pouring rain, knocked on the window goes down, and I'll never forget this particular moment, I suppose. There's moments in time you always remember, isn't there? But I looked inside, and there's this elderly lady, her hands like this on the steering wheel, and she's just frozen. She's looking ahead, and she looks up to me like this and just says, "I'm stuck." And I'm sort of looking in the car, looking at her going, "Oh, wow, hang on a minute." My first instinct was she stalled the car. So I'll be back in a second. So the window went up. I went round to the front bonnet, put my head to the bonnet, tried to have a bit of a listen, going, the engine's going. That's strange. Why is she stuck? So back to the window, frozen, window goes down. Here's this lady still sitting there like this. And she looks up again. And I sort of look in, I said, "Darling, your engine's going." I sort of looked in, oh, there's a tacho there. I should have just looked at that. But engine's going, handbrake was on. Okay, how about you take your handbrake off, put it in reverse, you can back around here and go back the opposite direction. She's just staring. She goes, "Oh, yeah, okay," shaking almost. And she sort of hand down, handbrake off, into reverse, backs around and drove off. Now, I never seen that lady again, but on that particular day where her car was, the water rose another metre, maybe more, metre and a half, and she would have definitely got washed away. In fact, I have a photo here. So this is just down the road, maybe 100 metres or so from where she was. That's not her car, but that is somebody else's car that's got washed down, and there was multiple more like that, and that was the height of the enormity of the water. And this creek normally on a normal day is literally would be about a little trickle of water flows down less than a metre wide, and that's what it ended up with, this torrential rain event. So she would have got washed away to her peril undoubtedly. Now, I'm not telling that story because I'm a hero or any of that sort of stuff. I'm telling you because she was stuck, and all I did was give her some perspective on what was going on. All I did was give her, yes, a bit of mentorship, for want of a better word, really. Even I gave her an idea, I gave her some help, I put things into perspective, as I said, and just said, back it out, reverse out. Now, what I see now, why I tell this story, is so real to what's going on in, even though that was real life 9-10 years ago, but so real to what's going on now. People are stuck. They're looking through the front windscreen of a car at stuff going on in the greater world, drama, and it doesn't look so good. We're just not even out of COVID. When I'm recording this, Victoria's still in lockdown. I'm fortunate enough to be living where I'm living, but the world is still in pain, and it's so easy to use the analogy of this frozen or white knuckle syndrome, I call it, where people are looking for their front windscreen. They're seeming in a little bit of comfortableness, because inside a car, yes, you're comfortable, not getting wet, everything's okay, but possibly only half an hour, 10 minutes, 2 weeks, a month from disaster. So I tell that story because there's lots of people who are stuck in a rut. As I said before, there's lots of people who have got no clarity, or they're looking for clarity, or looking for a solution on how to go forward, what to do for the next few years. and they might have lost their job, or they're comfortable. And if they did lose their job, or you did lose your job, how uncomfortable would you be then? Maybe you just got no purpose. I said clarity on the future, tough financial situations. If you've lost your job, and as I said before, probably I use the word comfortably uncomfortable. So you're comfortable, but you could be uncomfortable very soon. So I'll come back to the other flood story shortly, but who am I really anyhow? So Chris Scan, I'm an ex-army soldier, did my time in the army. I played footy for 20 years actually. I coached for 10 years. I've been in business for 16, nearly 17 years now in conventional business, running a communications company. I've had money, made money, lost money, did all those sort of things. I've been married once, that didn't go so well when I was really young. Now I'm married again with a beautiful wife, live on the Gold Coast, and big family. So I've learned a lot of lessons, and that was part of the reason why I wrote this book, because the lessons I learnt around mentorship, or around the lack of mentorship, and my own pride and ego, and not asking questions when I was stuck, and they caused me that pain. They caused me to be in the flood and have some tragic endings in some of those spokes, and I literally have broke them all. But why do you care about me? Because this ain't about me. This is about you. You're watching this and you have your own reasons. And so I was just telling you that to give you context of where I was coming from. The other story I want to talk to you before I go on is the second car, and the relevance of that you'll see in a minute. But the second car in that flood that was down further to your right. So I remember I backed up, car in front of me, lady stuck in a rut, she backed out. Up further at the set of lights, there's another car there, and I could see when she backed out, went back to my ute, sat there, and I looked up at the set of lights, and I could see another car, and I could see some people. Remember, it's pouring, bucketing down rain. It's heavy rain, as you can imagine. That's what was happening. So I could only just see. Visibility was terrible. I could just see people. I had no idea. And I could also see a guy trying to get to the car. Must have had a rope tied to him because he couldn't make it out, and he got swung down like a pendulum. He's going like this in the river, and he managed to scramble back because the rope was tied around his waist. And when I seen that, I'm going, oh, this is not good. This is not good at all. So I decided, okay, I'll go up there and see if I can help. So I ran up to the intersection, probably about 80, 90 meters away. And when I got there, I could obviously see a lot clearer. And I went up to this guy. He was only a lot shorter than me, Warren. And I said, mate, look, I'm taller. I reckon I might be able to get out there, give us a rope, I'll have a go. It's pretty much how it happened. It's probably maybe my military training skills, I'm not sure. You certainly, are taught when I was very young to react and react calmly and look at situations. So I ascertained the situation, thought I can get out to these lights. I'm sure I can get to this car and help these people. So rope around my waist, I made it out to the lights, and then across to the car, tied the rope around the door hinge because the door was open, the front driver's side door, and tied it around the door hinge, and then was approached then, or became aware then, I was with a mother and two boys, two young teenagers, or one maybe 10, 13, something like that. And I realised, well, I'll take the smallest one. So I took the young, skinny little fella, chucked him on my back and shimmied back across. So hand over hand, back across the rope till I got back to the other side where Warren was and a couple other people who came down to help at the safe side of the lights out of the water, and gave him the young fella and gone, right, I've got to go back out there and see if I can get the mum and the other child. So back out along the rope, shimmy hand over hand, sort of like this. And I remember halfway back out and my legs got washed out from under me. I'm hanging on and almost parallel. Wasn't real good at that stage, but then I got my feet again, puffing and panting, and had happened twice. Pouring rain still, water was raging, it was rising, it was crazy, it's crazy. And I got back out to the car, and this stage I'm puffing now. Now it's a little bit more stress is rising. I don't remember really panicking just then. I just remember thinking, how am I going to get now a bigger child, a teenager, and the mother back across? And as I'm ascertaining, should I take the heavier person, the mother or the young teenager? And look, the decision got taken away from me within seconds. I don't know how long that was. it probably was only 5 or 10 seconds, because I could see the car. I'm standing there at the door, the car's shuddering a little bit. Whoa, getting the camera like that. And I could see the rope going back towards the others, and the rope's getting tight, and I'm going, oh no. And I'm just standing there, and it just happened so fast. The car lifted, the water had risen so high that the car lifted and just started drifting. And of course the rope just snapped. The young fellow was on the bonnet, I remember that. I said, get off, mate, get off. Because the car was going towards the middle of the creek where it's raging, and where the trees were, and I knew that was terribly dangerous. And the mum, who was at the back, I can't remember, I remember her screaming, but the son got off, and all three of us were now off the car. The car went over in the trees and got smashed, and we went probably about 15 metres to the edge of the road where you lift up a little bit, right, where the curb is. And I remember touching that with my feet, was trying to scramble, and I touched the grass, and all of a sudden, bang, I've lifted up a feet, so did they, and we all got our traction. We could kind of run with the water. And so we did that, and I got to a light post, steel light post, they're probably about this big, and the mother and the son got to the next steel light post, down river from me, about 30 odd metres, probably 40 metres, and they seemingly safe. I was safe. I put the light post straight down the middle, arms wrapped around it, legs around either side, and I'm locked on. I'm going, righto, I'm okay for the minute. Let's get a grasp of what's going on here. And they were down at the next light post. Now I sort of looked around, I watched down, I'm trying to yell at them, but as you can imagine, pouring rain, noise of water rushing, they would not have heard me, and they clearly didn't hear me, because they were kind of on the side. So this is the light post, mum and son on the side like this, and I knew that the pressure of the water, it's going to wash them away. And anyhow, I, at that time, trying to make decisions, look back now, should I have gone down there? Could I have even made it to there? Because the water's not running straight towards them, it was running sideways. But again, the decision got taken away from me in seconds, and the mother got washed away first, and she disappeared under the willow trees. I had no idea, couldn't see any further than these willow trees, and they're the big trees that hang down and pretty much touch the water. And then the young fella, not long after that, maybe another minute max, he got washed away too. And now, I thought at the time, there was people running down the sides of the streets, and I could just hear yells, couldn't understand anything. There's cars going past, must have been wheelie bin day. There's wheelie bins going past left, right and centre. And I just thought that they would have been, saved. Someone would have gone in and got them out, plucked them out of the river somewhere down further. Unfortunately, that story didn't end too well, and both of them lost their lives. But I didn't know that at the time, right? So I'm still stuck on this pole, and the water's still rising. So I had plenty of time to, plenty of time. A lot of, that's when I did start to feel a little bit of stress, don't worry, and thinking and looking around and going, oh wow, here goes another wheelie bin, there goes a car, there's trees, there's debris going left, right and centre. I'm sort of looking up the pole going, I reckon I could climb this pole, but I reckon I could only last up there for maybe a couple of minutes. And certainly military training, again, rope climbing, if any of my military friends are watching this, you would know that, but I knew I wouldn't be able to last that long. So I thought, I'll leave that to the last minute. If something's imminently going to hit me, I'll scoot up the pole, and hopefully the whole pole doesn't, bend over, and I can stay there. Now I'll show you a photo here. So you can see here on this picture, that's me there. So you can see the willow trees behind it that I spoke about. Willow trees hang in the water, and they disappeared down underneath the trees. I clung to that pole for 30, 40 minutes. The water rose, that's probably almost about the height of the water. It rose to my shoulder blades and never went over my head. And the debris going past was just insane. You can't see anything there, but yes, there would be cars, there'd be wheelie bins. I said wheelie bin day. There was trees, and I remember a tree, people yelling out, watch out for the tree, and I looked around and went, oh no, and it sort of just went off to my left. That disappeared. I have to climb up the pole, and this went on for 30, 40 minutes. And I certainly had a lot of time to, I guess, reflect on what was going on. And when you're in a near-death situation and you're thinking, save me, man, I hope I get out of here, crikeys, should have done this, should have done that. You certainly have plenty of time to think, right? Now, taking this into perspective, or this in I'll just zoom my picture in, going back to, there we go, the wheel of life. So I tell this story when I'm talking about the spiritual spoke. I'll talk about the other ones in a minute. When I'm talking about the spiritual spoke, I tell this story because clearly when you're in a situation like this or a near-death situation, it's very interesting when I talk to people or ask people what they would have done. You get lots of different answers. So, I'm not talking about religion or the Dalai Lama or pink elephant in the sky or anything. As a Christian, I know what I believe. But when I was asked, as I said, when I asked this question to other people, it's amazing what responses you get. So bringing awareness to this spiritual spoke and getting people's thoughts, and their physical health, their spiritual health, their relationships, all these things are so important. So moving on and talking about some of the other spokes here. Relationships in particular, there's so many books written about relationships. You can read books, How to Win Friends and Influence People, books like Florence Littau's book of Personality Plus. There's so many, thousands of books, in fact, on relationships. And relationships are so important at work, at home, sport, with your kids, with your parents, with your wife, clearly, or your partner, husband, siblings. So those couple of books are awesome, but certainly being aware of the need to get some trajectory towards improving your relationships is as important. The other spokes, i.e. finance, health and fitness, my book here, community, business, are all equally as important. And the main point I'm trying to say here is getting some mentorship and getting some help around that is where I believe you can really get true trajectory towards having a great life. Now, what I'm excited about, what I'm going to show you now is some models and modeling around things that's visual. So hopefully this gives you something to go with, and we'll show you a way that you can truly improve your life. So what have I got here? Bring my picture up. There we go. A line on the page. Now, if that's a water line, and I'm going to talk about an iceberg model, so to speak. The thing with when people try to improve their lives, they generally, initially, without mentorship, would go to a coach or some help in the particular area they think they need to improve their lives. So if you're in business, you would go to a business coach. If you're struggling with your health and fitness, remember all these spokes, you would go to a PT or a physio or someone, a personal trainer normally. If you're struggling with your relationships, you might go and get some counselling, some relationship advice. If you're struggling with your finance, you might go to a broker or a financial advisor or the bank, or probably not, or your accountant, most likely. So my analogy here, if you think about an iceberg, and you can see there I've got business coach, PT, personal development, chased some dollars somehow. But if you chase one of those particular little things, then it's really only 10% of the iceberg. And if you know anything about icebergs, most of the iceberg is below the water. The 90% below the water is what people, what's going on behind closed doors is what really matters. It's not so much what people really chase initially, though. They just chase the 10%. And when I'm having conversations with people about this, they really are shallow conversations, and I try to get deeper. But as I say, that 10% above the water is not always what's going on. It's not always what's needed to help someone get a better life. So the three outcomes that I spoke about at the start, increasing your focus, increasing your balance, increasing cash flow, whilst they are three awesome outcomes, and if you look at the wheel of life from my book and that model, if you put those three outcomes into that wheel of life and you aim to put them into each spoke almost, that's pretty damn good, and you'll be going well. But even still, having focus, balance and cash flow is not really even still what life's all about. Now, is it? What is life about? When I have a deeper level conversation with someone, I generally find out after getting through the 10% stuff, or the outcome stuff, I find out what really makes them tick. I find out what they're really passionate about. And 99.9 times out of 10, these conversations generally always come to a lifestyle that involve family, friends, loved ones, and it's about having an awesome life. It's about, and again, from where I started this video, that awesome life can be different people, a 10-10 lifestyle, but whatever that is for you, it's about achieving that. And that's my learnings from being around lots of people and studying people, being around good business people. The truth is, the 10% above the water, or the 10%, if there was wind blowing on that 10%, does the iceberg blow in that direction? That's the question. Not normally. The iceberg would go where the 90% is going, right? So I truly believe that you can achieve, and in fact you deserve, a 10-10 lifestyle. And that's what people are passionate about. They just really want their life. And if you work your way back up, how do I get that? I need to increase focus, balance, cash flow. How do I do that? I can use a combination of these things. So they're all important. I'm not downgrading any of these things. I believe our mentorship model is the key to unlocking the 90%. And this is what I'm excited to show you about. And the mentorship model will be the direction of the current, so to speak, not the wind blowing. That's a deeper level conversation. So now I'll show you what this model is about. How does a mentorship model give me an awesome life? Well, it's maybe not the model, it's the action of doing what the model involves. But let's go into it for a second, right? 10-10 lifestyle, it's always the center of your dream, your passion, your family, your awesome life. It's the center of what you really want. Increase cash flow, balance, purpose, the three outcomes we've already spoke about. Now, if you look between purpose and cash flow, you need a strategy around these things. I'll come back to that in a minute. If you look between cash flow and getting balance, part of that is you've got to have fun. I'm all about fun. Anyone knows me, I'm going to talk more about that later, but fun, adventure. And between purpose and balance, you've got to have awareness. Now, without strategy, you got no financial direction. Without fun, you got no adventure. You're depressed, probably boring. Without awareness in a lot of different areas, you're lost, you're lonely, you're unhealthy. So to help the strategy, we call them levers. You need some accelerators. And what are? What do we need strategy around? The three ways we make money. To get a strategy around your job, around business, around finance. To look at fun in the recreational area, so your sport and recreation. Mental health. Now, mental health is a good and bad thing, right? Well, not bad so much, but you can have good mental health and you can have poor mental health. So, get some fun in there and improve your mental health. And adventure. So recreation more sporting, adventure more getting out and doing fun things. How can you have fun? How can you get awareness around your spirituality? How can you get awareness? And I talked about the flood story, and helping people get some perspective on that. How can you increase the quality of your relationships with your partner? Spoke about that a minute ago, your husband, wife, mum, dad, kids, all the above. How can you improve your health and fitness? How can you get awareness around what it takes? The things that we need to focus on, the lack in the nutrition, the requirement that we need to be active to some degree within our limitations of our age and all the rest of it. But what I'm excited about and what I have been selected into is a mentorship group that encompasses all of this. The heart of it is the outcomes and the 10-10 lifestyle, the dream, but surrounding the whole lot is the mentorship program. Now, this is phenomenal, and this is something that I haven't seen through too many of my business circles, something that I know a lot of people, most people, in fact, as I said, 99% of people, they really do want a good life, and they're probably aware, possibly, that to have a great life, they have to address some spokes, but they don't know how to do it. Or maybe they're not even aware that they need to address, all the spokes in the wheel of life. They don't know that, they're all as important as each other. So the mentorship is what pulls you up, what keeps you on track. It's like a footy coach, keeps you accountable. But in a good way, because we're just doing life together. So to finish off, next couple of minutes, if your current circumstance in 2020, when I'm recording this, think about 5 years' time, to your future circumstances. Where are you going to be in 5 years? What's your life going to look like? The scary thing is, or the sad thing is, I guess, is that it's never straight. You can't just do what you're doing now and in 5 years' time be where you are now. Certainly can't be in front of where you are now. And in fact, what happens is time bends. And you'll find that you'll go down. I'll just put these 4 outcomes in here, and then the spectator in life. I'll show you these quickly and then I'll talk about them. So if you are drifting through life and you're not doing anything to help yourself improve, then you'll end up becoming a spectator. Now, thinking of a sporting analogy, you're not even in the field of play, you're just watching. And it might sound really tough, and it might not be you, and generally 90% of the people I talk to, they're not spectating, they're having a little bit of a go. They're actually, in fact, participating. But even participating, you're still drifting down. You're still not making ends meet. The cost of living is going up, things are going up. You might have been a competitor, you might have been comfortable, you might have been up here in this light green line, but now, from COVID, whatever circumstance, situation, lack of mentorship, pride, made poor decisions, you now find yourself back participating. And generally what happens is most people, they go like a sine wave, like a radio wave, if you understand what that is. They go from the green down to the amber and then back up, and maybe dip down to red in a crisis mode. And a 10 out of 10 lifestyle is an awesome life, okay? It's perfection, and no one has perfection. No one's 10 out of 10 in all the wheels. It's just a measurement, it's just an analogy, a mindset in the wheel of life. But that's the perfect person. No one's perfect, right? But aiming for trajectory towards getting a better outcome in each of the spokes, which I relate to a better score. Okay, not scoring people, but just getting more balance in each of the spokes. And if you're getting 8s, 9s, if you were to score yourself, I actually do have a scorecard that I can send you after this. But that would be an awesome outcome. Now, to do that, my studies have shown, and people who are way smarter than me, that you've got to make decisions, you've got to take action. So if we were to put a number on these, 1, 2, 3, 4, the distance between 4 and 1 is a long way, even just physically to look at. And then look at someone who's a spectator in life and someone who's living a 10 out of 10 lifestyle, and the distance is a long way away. In all the spokes generally, always nearly, they've got, better relationships, probably living a much more comfortable life, clearly. They're giving away as much as they're making. They've got so much abundance. It's good to give money away, but you can't be generous if you've got nothing to give. So the distance is a long way away, and to jump that line is riskier. In 5 years' time, we're talking here, right? It's harder. How do you go from crisis in your life? I was in crisis in 2011 at the end of that floods. By the end of 2011, it was even worse. I was in crisis mode, and I wanted that 10 out of 10 lifestyle, but I couldn't just jump it. It's taken me a long time to get around good people. But now with this mentorship model, I can help people, in fact, accelerate that. I help people jump the lines with the mentorship model so they can ride the curve and they can, in fact, accelerate and get that better lifestyle. It mightn't be 10 out of 10 in 2 years' time, but it's certainly trajectory towards it. If you understand, trying to get the grasp of what I'm saying here, this model, if that's a person almost in those circles, they're kind of pulling you up, right? So even on the dark green line, people still fall off every now and then. We're human. You make a poor decision, you say something you shouldn't have said to your partner, you do something, but having help, having some advice, and it mightn't be directly, it might be just something you heard, because our mentorship group gives us things to listen to and recommends things to read. And so it might be advice from a book or an MP3, a podcast, but they're things that help pull you back on track, help keep you accountable and making good decisions. So, you know, if you, the distance between the lines there, the little black line, it's never been as close as it is right now. Now we're at I wouldn't say we're out of COVID, but we're on the other side of the end, the second half of 2020 now. And we can certainly look and go, wow, you know, if you're in an area where you're still not out of it, and I'm not saying even Australia's out, I'm not even saying Queensland out of it, but we can certainly still learn from the last 6 months, and it is raised all our eyebrows and open all our minds and going, wow, you know, do I jump the lines now or do I wait 5 years? Do I see if I ride this out? But then it's going to be riskier, harder, costlier. More millionaires, billionaires have been made in bad times. And you can read that in the GFC of 2008, 2009, and 2000, seemingly every 10 years, right? And it goes in cycles. So you're going to wait 5 years, or do you want to jump the line now? How long are you prepared to wait? I'll move on to the next page here for a second. There's two images here, a frog and a horse, clearly, without a doubt, right? But if you turn your head sideways, you're looking at me going, what is that man doing? If I go this way, I actually see two horses, and if I go this way, I'll see two frogs. So what is this picture about, Chris? It's an illusion. And my big, bold statement is that choice is an illusion also. So people think they have a choice of how they're going to live their life or what they need to do to get a good life. The scary thing is that you don't really. Choice is an illusion. There's habits, there's decisions, there's things that will give you a trajectory that allow you to, you know, ride that curve. And they're known things. You know, people who are successful and have a balanced life. I'm not just talking about rich people here. I'm talking about wealthy people who have time and money. Wealth is not measured just in dollars. You know, they're giving away lots. They're very generous. They've got an awesome life. They've realized all these things, everything I've spoken about. They didn't make choices. They had things that they had to do. They were habits. You know, we've got plenty of options. We can pick up our phone, watch Netflix, you know, lay on the couch, do so many different things. You know, plenty of options, thousands of options, and more options than we want to poke a stick at now with mobile phones. Great device, but bad device on the same token. But we don't have that many choices. So how long are you prepared to wait is the question. If you want to increase your balance, you want to get some more purpose in your life, focus, clarity, and you want to increase cash flow because you're stuck in a rut and you don't know how to go for the next few years, then I can tell you and help you unpack more of this mentorship model and how all those accelerators are addressed, how we address them all. It'll be a whole nother hour. So all I can say is, on that note, I hope my stories of pain, of me stuck in the flood, the lady stuck in the white knuckle syndrome models can give you a little bit of perspective that go, you know what, it'd be worthwhile having a coffee with Chris. I can't help everybody. In fact, you know, I'm selective of to who I can help because I've only got so much of me and my sweat equity, but I certainly would, I love to, I never knock anyone back for a coffee because it mightn't be an ongoing thing. It might just be some tips I can give you at the time and go, yeah, I probably can't help you, but this person can. I'm not the expert in any of the spokes, but I certainly know people who are, so I can point you in some directions. Or, you know, the holistic approach ongoing. Yes, I'm looking for some awesome people. So if you want to know more, reach out to me, my phone number there, my email, or you'll find me on Facebook and LinkedIn and all the rest of them. Thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed this and hope to see you in person with a coffee. See you later.